Welcome to another session of Relationship Revolution. We're going to talk about speaking the truth in love. So this is Ephesians 4:15, which says, speak the truth in love. Here are a few of the principles for speaking the truth. Again, this is built on a foundation of solutions. The first level is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. The second is love your neighbor as yourself. The third then is listening, and you can go back and watch those sessions if you want. This is the fourth level, being speaking the truth in love. Here are some principles of speaking the truth in love. Only speak to the person, not about the person. Oh boy, that one alone will stop a lot of conflicts. It stops all the gossip because you're only talking to the person. Now, I have had conversations with people, that rule is great, but what if we're two managers sitting talking about an employee? Yes, I get that. Even then, you need to only talk about what is necessary for professional evaluation of the employee. The moment you start talking about anything personal, you are breaking this rule and causing problems in the group by doing gossip. So again, only speak to the person, not about the person. Another principle is closely related. Communicate confidential information only within the scope that the originator approves. So when in doubt, go ask the person who originated the information if it is okay to share it. And if it is okay to share it, then with whom and in what circumstances. Both of those are just be very careful about talking about another person. Another very useful skill for speaking the truth in love is describe things from my perspective. Use I language and my. So phrases like, well, this is how I see it. Well, that's interesting. From my perspective, and well, my opinion is, whereas many times what people do in disagreements is use the word, well, you, followed by all sorts of unnecessary and unuseful language, which is a good segue into the next speaking the truth in love principle. Use accurate adverbs. Avoid you always, or you make me, or you never. Combining you with inaccurate adverbs is like throwing kerosene on a fire. And hardly anything makes a disagreement turn into a conflict quicker than using the word you and inaccurate adverbs together. So I'm going to combine those two skills, describing from my perspective and using accurate adverbs. Well, that's interesting. What I've noticed is sometimes, right, or what it's not that I'm keeping track, but yesterday I noticed the napkins were left on the table after the meal instead of being thrown away. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if somebody got sick, who's supposed to be doing it or what. Somebody was in a rush. I just noticed it yesterday. See, how is that different than, you always leave the napkins on the table after the meal? One is setting up a conversation about a challenging life together, and we can come up with solutions for that. The second is just setting up a conflagration where it makes it really challenging for the other person to stay calm. Instead, the other person wants to defend. Because what's the natural response to, you always? No, I don't, you always. I mean, it comes back, anger begets anger. But calm and understanding begets calm and understanding. So we're trying to speak the truth in a way that makes it easier to accept and receive and respond. Oh boy, this is one of my favorite principles. Think and. And the reason I say think and, it's not necessarily that you need to use the word and, but you need to think. Go back and review the 5 levels of interest and the dialectical tensions. The interests are constantly changing. And then you can think about describing all of the strings instead of just summarizing, because what we often do is just summarize our thoughts. I'm hungry. Well, instead of summarizing that thought, if I would use the word and, we could get a better picture here and figure out a better solution. You know what? It's been a while since I've eaten. And I think I could probably go another hour or two, even though I have some hunger pains right now. And I want to eat. I really don't want to go to a place that's loud And I know that you like going to party atmospheres, and maybe it's your turn. And I'd kind of like a quiet place where we can hear each other talk. And, oh boy, I like Mexican, but nothing sounds good. And I really don't want fish. And I really don't want to eat outside, but yet it's a nice day. Do you see how kind of describing a bunch of those things make it so that we can come up with, maybe I should have done a simpler example. Let me do a more simple example. It's been a while since I've eaten, and I can probably make it about an hour. I am inclined to go to a restaurant, and I'd also kind of like a quiet place, so I'm kind of torn between a restaurant or eating at home. Maybe if we could find a quiet restaurant, or maybe we could take out and eat at home. It's just, yeah. And I also want to hear what you're thinking, because you have thoughts about this too, and maybe there's a better solution for the meal. Do you see how describing things from my perspective and using the word "and" to get a broader picture? Here's another way to say it. It's almost like all the interests that we have are puzzle pieces that each of us has in our pocket. When I use the word "and," what that is allowing me to do is take another piece of the puzzle out of my pocket to set it on the table. And if we can get all of the pieces of the puzzle for this challenge that we're facing together, if we can get all the pieces of the puzzle out on the table, then we can do a collaborative session and work that puzzle together and make all the pieces fit. Whereas if a bunch of people are just summarizing and keeping a lot of the pieces of the puzzle in their pockets, we're not going to find a resilient solution that will help us move forward well. Make sense? The final piece of the puzzle, I think I did it in the last example, is ask the other person, how do you see the situation? And so I've told you my perspective and some of my ands and some of the challenges that I have. I'd like to hear yours. Speaking the truth in love really is built on a foundation of realizing that this life together is complex. You're complex, I'm complex, all of our interests are constantly changing. I'm doing the best that I can to lay my puzzle pieces out on the table, and I'd really like to see your puzzle pieces. And let's do this together, because really what matters in this life is that we have a great time doing it together. You can find these principles and more in my book, Muddling Along, or Unity, Confessions of a Recovering Jerk. It's available at Amazon.com in print, Kindle, and audio format. To learn how to practice these principles with me, go to DialogueDojo.com.